Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Corey Vanderplu at Corey Photo on Twitter and Instagram. Today I'm going to walk you through changing the color of this background and also how to deal with stuff like this. These fringes can also be used with hair. How do you get the background to kind of merge around those? You see it a lot in magazines and stuff. So let me show you. First, start with a new layer. I like the color to be kind of matching what we have in the sweater, which will make it, makes everything mesh a lot better. I do this trick a lot. I'm just trying to look for a nice light color. Maybe not so light. And what we're gonna do is just paint it in. I don't like that color. This is nicer. Yeah, much nicer. So what I'm gonna do is just paint around the edges. You could take your G tool and just fill the whole thing and paint it out, but I just like to go around and work with just what's gonna be used. And then when I'm done that, I'll create a mask. I'm gonna flip the artboards around and then just paint away so I can see the edges. Once I do that, now I know what has to be filled in to make it nice and perfect. So first thing we'll do is I'll start from the, see how difficult that's gonna be around here, but you see what I mean when I come in close? I get the small brush, switch the artboards around, and just paint in along the edges. I'm being a little bit crude here, just so you don't get bored while I'm doing this, but let me speed this up so you don't have to see anything. But let me speed this up so you don't have to get bored. Right, you can see it already is gonna look pretty cool with the color match. But what are we gonna do when we get to this fringed area? You see, if I just paint it in like this, that wouldn't look very good. Looks kind of like I just went over it. But here's what we're gonna do, just to get those textures back. Especially if this was hair, that actually doesn't look too bad. You could kind of get away with that. But I'm gonna go a step further. This will make your cutouts look so much better. So what I do is get as close as I can so I'm not going over anything. And then what I'm going to do is, you can see it's much darker underneath. So I'm going to do a curve. And I like doing it in the lower mids because I really want to push the shadows. I'm going to push it just, you can see I'm going too light here. I just want to get the balance to be somewhere where it matches the green. I mean, that's pretty good. If you want to go even with a little bit more control, you can change the opacity, like to go a little past, then change the opacity, and then delete that, and with a low opacity brush, maybe somewhere around 10% is usually what I like to work with. We're just gonna go in and, I'm gonna boost up around here a little bit more, and then just go around the edges till you can see that it's brightening up where the green is. And as you just tap it, I come in a little bit more here so it just makes the white look nicer. And you can see that's already a lot better. It's already blending much nicer than before. But now how do we deal with this color? I'm gonna do the same thing with the new adjustment layer, but this time I'm gonna go with the color balance. This kind of has a greeny yellow vibe, so I'm gonna push the greens here, push the yellows here. That's already pretty good. You see I do the reds or the blues. We lose it a little bit, but this is just massage it till you get somewhere very close. And this does look very close. Green's a little bit off. It's just about being finicky and trying and messing around to very close. How's that before and after? So you can see it's a little bright here, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is delete that artboard. Because we're using a low opacity brush, you can paint it in until it looks good. So I'm just painting around the edge, a little bit on the white because there would be a little bit of bleed if this was real. That's really all you have to do. Just that small amount. And then what you can do is flip your artboards back if you feel like it's not close enough and just take a little bit of that steam away. You can already see huge difference. Doesn't really affect the white too much, won't affect hair that much either. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in on my mask, again with this low opacity. Now I'm just going to go in a little bit closer. Give me like a 20%, yeah, something like that. So using the right artboard, which is white, just going in, just really to get rid of this detail. And a little bit of bleed's okay, because in real life, if it was a color, it would bleed over the side. And now this is where you're just being gentle, but you can be a little bit crude because all the heavy lifting was done beforehand. See, there's a lot in here. And again, I use grain on all my images. So it does look a little strange that you can still see some texture in here, but the texture is gonna go away when I add the grain. But as of right now, that's an incredible before after, especially if you see when I take away what we just did. It makes it look a lot closer. All right, let's do this harder one now, below us. So go back to full opacity brush. This one's gonna be a little darker, but we're working with green, so it's actually gonna be a little bit easier. Just getting very close here. And bigger brush, because the sweater has more of a gradient to it. I don't mind eating over that sweater. And now get as close as you can. I like that one little hair popping out. And this is as crude as I want to do it until I do these adjustment layers below. So to prevent confusion, I'm just going to do 2 more adjustment layers. So let me do another curve here. Again, bust out the lower mids. You can see it's a little too much here. This one's going to be a lot more difficult. You might have to do it in a few steps. But again, I like to go too far and then use a low opacity brush and get it close. Not quite, right? It's because it's so dark. I like to go a little bit brighter on the edges just so it eases the gradient. It makes it a little easier. Just where you see it's a little dark, brighten it up. Now we're gonna do the same thing with the curve layer. We're gonna do the same thing with a color balance layer. Really push the greens and the yellows. Just really twist every layer, twist every knob to see what gets you the closest. Saturate some of that green. Now this is looking real green. This looks actually a little gray. So what you can actually do is get as close as you can. I feel like this is pretty close. And I'm just gonna dot it in. And then we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do another adjustment layer right after it. I don't mind if this gets a little torn up because it's just the fringe. It's really just trying to make the adjustment layers near the color look nicer. And also to prevent the gradient from looking like a hard line, kind of like this, but we're gonna fix this. I'll show you. So what's the issue here? It's almost a little too bright, isn't it? So now we're gonna go curve layer again. I'm gonna bring it down darker. Just a little bit in the whites. And then delete this. And now again, low opacity brush. Just paint it in along the edges. You're just trying to get these edges to match. So where it looks dark, don't paint it in there. Where it's a little bright, paint it in. See, it went a little too far here. So a little sloppy, but it's actually a lot better. So now what we can do is go back into our mask, low opacity brush. Start, oh, I went the wrong way. Make sure you got the right artboards going. And now just slowly start to eat away at the in-betweens where you can see that it's a little messy and you can see the detail. 10% opacity brush, somewhere between 10 and 20 is where I like to work. We're being very crude here still, working our way around. And you just got to be patient here. I don't know how you would do this without a tablet. Probably get carpal tunnel from your wrist if you were to do that. Just keep chipping away at it. I'm gonna bring the brush up a little bit to closer to 18. And I'm not trying to go over it too much. Again, I'm just find where there's the big gap or the big line that you couldn't, smooth out. And that's what the opacity is doing. It's just chipping away at it, so it makes it look a lot more organic and a lot more natural. It gets a little trickier with hair, but we'll show you that in a later tutorial. See, this already looks so much better. And now what I'm gonna do is take an even lower opacity brush, somewhere around 5%, and actually paint it in over. And there you have it. Looking fantastic. Now the key to this is that you can still see every little hair, every little cranny. When I go back to before, sure there's a little bit of overlay, but if I did light my background, there would be a little bit of overlay and washed outness, but that just adds to the natural. It's like light would wrap around it. And that's a big difference. Now, I don't have any of this tough stuff on the other side. I showed you the hard one. But that's how you do it. Any questions or comments, or if this didn't work out for you, just leave a comment below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. A lot more YouTube videos coming up. My name is Corey Vanderplu at Corey Photo on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks for watching.